Hello and welcome. My name's Zolf, and it's my pleasure to take you on a guided tour of Arcion for real-time data movement. Now, Arcion is an in-memory, multi-threaded replication solution allowing you to move large volumes of data efficiently and quickly from source to target. Now, Arcion will take data from relational data stores and propagate that to a database, a data warehouse, or cloud technology downstream. Now, Arcion comes in two flavors. There's a self-hosted version, which allows you to deploy Arcion on-premise or within your own VPC. And there's also a self-managed cloud version as well. Now, for the purpose of this demonstration today, we're going to be taking data that resides on my laptop within a virtual machine that resides in Oracle. And we'll be propagating some existing historical data and change data and propagating that into Snowflake downstream. Now, as well as the data, we're going to show you how Arcion can also help simplify the creation of your target structure as well. So we'll show that Snowflake is pretty much an empty shell, and Arcion will build the necessary tables that we need downstream. Right, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at our environments. So here we have Oracle. We have a schema called testdb1. Within that, there is a movies table. Let me just go ahead and move into the table itself and show you some data in there. So this is my DVD collection. I have about 10 different DVDs, not too shabby, not too great. But this is just an example that I have some existing records in there. Now, as part of the demo, we want to move this across as well as build a table. And at the same time, we just want to show some changes going through. So this is just a simple script just to show a mix of transactions. We've got several inserts followed by updates and deletes in different order after it commits. So we'll be propagating some changes and seeing how that relates to Snowflake downstream. Okay, so let's have a look at Snowflake now. That's Arcion. We'll have a look at that in just a minute. So here in Snowflake, you can see I have ZQ_DB as my database, and I have 3 different schemas in there. However, I do not have a schema in there called testdb1, which is what I want to propagate from Oracle into Snowflake. So we'll see Arcion do all the heavy lifting for us. So there's nothing manually that we need to do beforehand. Well, it's not mandatory anyway. So Arcion can do all the hard work for you. Okay, so let's go back and now let's have a look at Arcion. So we're going to be using the GUI version, which is all self-contained within a Docker image. It's underpinned by a Postgres database just to collect metadata about the replication environment. So no physical data is stored in here. It's just metadata itself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sign in. Now, the first time you sign in, you're going to be presented with a blank canvas with a button to say, let's go ahead and get started. You won't have several configurations, which I have right now. So these are stored as my testing. But let's go ahead and simulate what a new environment would look like. So I'm going to click on the new button. And Arcion is going to walk you through the whole process of creating a workflow, right? So here we just give it a name. We just can call it Arcion demo. We can give this a description. So this is Oracle to Snowflake. And now we have several options presented to us. Now the replication mode is how do we want to move that data? There are a couple of options. Snapshot will just move historical data or data that exists in your table. Full mode will not only do the snapshot, but it will also enable CDC once snapshot has finished. So you're getting real-time data feeds as soon as something changes within the source. Write mode is how do we want to present the data in the target? So replacing will go ahead and create schemas if they don't exist in tables, as well as views. And it will also apply the data that we capture as well. Truncating will preserve schema structures, but just truncate the data if it exists and overwrite it with the new data that we propagate from source to target. Appending will preserve the existing schema and the existing data, and we'll just append any data at the end of it as well. So we're going to go ahead with full and replacing and click next. Now, again, there's some pre-configured connections that I've already done, but the first time you use this, you'll just have create your own source. And just to show you how easy it is to actually connect to your data stores, we're going to click on the plus sign and you'll be presented with options. What do you want to connect to? Now, Arcion is always involved in adding more sources and targets. So by the time you go ahead and look at Arcion, this list will have been expanded to include other technologies as well. But for the purpose of this demo, we're just going to click on Oracle and say continue. And again, as I mentioned, Arcion will walk you through the whole process of what information you need to fill in. And this is specific to each data store that Arcion supports. So for example, in Oracle, we have to complete a service name. And on the right-hand side as well, you'll see some guides to walk you through to not only set up Oracle, but how to set up configuration with Arcion as well. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and click back because I've also got one pre-created. And you can see here that I've got various different Oracle connections. I'm going to click on Oracle source test DB1, and we can edit this information to show you what I've entered in here. So I've given it a name. I've provided the service name that Oracle's running on, where that Oracle instance is running, and some credentials to connect. And that user, that replication user needs privileges to not only connect to the Oracle, but to connect to the tables that we want to capture and capture the operations that we want to propagate from source to target. We'll have different log reader methods. So we have a native log reader method as well as archive only and log miner. But Arcion is 100% agentless as well. So we have different methods even to read the logs natively remotely as well. So I'm just going to go ahead, click on the default. I've tested the connection, but I'll test it again. This is just to ensure that everything has been set up in order for Arcion to replicate data successfully from source to target. We've got the right privileges. We can access the tables. We can read the dictionary, etc., etc. So that has passed. We're going to go ahead, continue. Then we have to sync the connector. So we need to sync to the source just to derive some metadata about the schemas that we have access to. So here I've already pre-performed this, and we've got access to 2 schemas here. I'm going to go ahead and continue. So let's go. And before I actually click on destination, I just want to show you some advanced options in here that we can use for performance tuning. So if I just go ahead and create a new extractor, you can see that we can spawn multiple threads. As I mentioned earlier on, we're a multi-threaded replication solution built for high volume of data replication in the petabytes. And there's some additional options that we can set in here as well. I'm going to stick with the default and go back and not create anything new, but let's go ahead and do the same thing with destination. Likewise, when we click on plus sign, we'll have a bunch of technologies that are presented to us. We're always continuously adding new technologies. So by the time you look at Arcion, you will see more platforms in there like DB2, like Kafka, like Confluent. But I'm going to go ahead, go back. And likewise, I've also got this pre-configured. So Snowflake target, again, we're just going to very quickly look at the connection details. So I've entered the URL for connecting to Snowflake, the warehouse that we've got created, some user credentials, port number. And again, we can go ahead and test connection just to make sure everything has been satisfied for Arcion's purposes to move data into Snowflake itself. And again, we've got a full bill of health and we've passed. Great, so we're going to continue. As this is a target, we don't necessarily need to do a sync connector here, but we're going to go ahead and continue and specify, right, that's our source, that's our target. We know how to connect to that. Now, what do we want to do from a replication point of view? And filter allows us to specify exactly what data we want to move. So we don't have to do the entire database. You can be granular with Arcion. So you can be granular at the schema level, table, column, even down to row level as well. Now, for the purpose of this demo, it's going to be schema test DB1 and movies. We've also got the option of manipulating any mappings. Now, by default, Arcion, as I mentioned, does all the hard work for you, so we've got our own mappings. However, if there's something that you specifically want to alter, like names or data types, you can do that within Arcion as well. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I do want to change something here because on the target, I have a ZQ_DB database that I want to apply the data to, and within that, I want to create the test DB1 schema. So that's all I'm going to make change in here, but the rest I'm happy with. I want to keep it the same. So let's go ahead and save that configuration. And here now we can go ahead and start replication. So let's go ahead and do that. What you'll notice here that Arcion has switched its dashboard for more of a monitoring. So we've moved from configuration now into monitoring and managing Arcion. So you can see within one console, we can do a multitude of things. We don't need, different applications, different dashboards. We do it all within one dashboard itself. Now, what you can see here is a confirmation of what my source and my target is, the health of my replication. So right now what we're doing is initializing, we're creating the runtime components. In fact, you've got a log in here that you can see at the background what Arcion is doing. And we've also got, for governance purposes, we've got an audit trail here as well. So any user that does anything within Arcion, it's tracked in here. And we can also perform statistics as well. So here we can have a dashboard of seeing what's happening with the data itself. So we can see we've applied that data. We're running right now. We've done the initial load, the snapshot. Here we've got some statistics that we can interact with, which I'll show a bit later, but we've seen, again, total rows. We can actually get more view here as well, a different view actually, in terms of what we're doing. So here we can see that there was a bulk load operation that happened, 10 inserts. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in Arcion itself. So let's refresh my pane here and let's go find ZQ_DB. And now you can see here a fourth schema that's been created called TestDB1. And we have a table in there. So I'm just going to preview the data just to make sure everything's gone successfully. And we can see we've got the 10 records in here. Great. Let's go back to Oracle. So I mentioned there's a script in here. So what we're going to do is, as well as those 10 records, we're going to add additional data in here. We're going to add 4 more records with 4 more DVDs that I've recently purchased. And then we're going to make some updates on the existing records as well. So updates to record 11 and 13. So here you can see where we've got Black Panther inserted. We're just going to update to say Black Panther Wakanda Forever. For record 13, we've got Iron Man. That's going to be updated to Iron Man 2. And then we're going to delete record 12. So that's Spider-Man No Way Home. And then we're going to add additional records as well, another 4 records as well. So that's, well, 8 inserts, 2 updates, 1 delete. So let's go ahead and execute this. Okay, now let's go back into Arcion. Okay, so we're going to go back here, look at Arcion demo, and we can see we've got 11 operations that's buffered, and that should make its way through to the target itself. So in the background, as I mentioned, we can see that Arcion is activating. Great thing that we're not always constantly pinging the source. So that's a cost saver from a Snowflake perspective as well. And we can see that data has gone through. Now, let's take a moment here within the trace log. We mentioned we can see what Arcion's doing in the background. We've also got a specific pane for errors. Again, it makes life easier for troubleshooting when things don't go quite correctly. We can isolate the errors and see what's actually causing the issue, and some hints as well that's provided to say, you may want to look at so-and-so to resolve the issue itself. Again, from a data perspective, I can see, right, we've got records, well, it's gone up to 18 now. We've got 2 updates and 1 delete. I can also view the metrics. So I may not be interested in inserts. So I can see that there was a delete and update operation that also occurred. So hopefully this gives you a good overview of Arcion. And just to actually just sanity check, just make sure. Yep, 18, but we've got 17 records because there was 1 delete, and records 11 and 13 have been updated. Great. So hopefully that's piqued an interest to you. If you'd like to learn more, you can reach us or gain more information from our website. We're also on LinkedIn and Twitter. But as I said, if this is piqued of interest and you'd like to find out more, we'd be happy to hear from you. So thank you for your time today, and we look forward to talking to you very soon.